Hey there. This is WheatDraws here. Just disclaimer for the rest of the video. Unfortunately, as I recorded the audio, I thought I was recording the screen and I wasn't. So I'm just going to have the video on loop as normal. If I start talking about something that's showing in the video at the moment, I've tried to edit images in, but just pretend like it's there. Just pretend like you know. Just nod and pretend like I know what I'm talking about, okay? Thank you. I really appreciate it. Enjoy the video. Hey there, this is WheatDraws. You're welcome to another designer insight and explanation video. We're gonna be going over the predator. We're gonna be going over the predator concept that I worked in collaboration with uh, Rare Things once again. And for first time, we've had direct collaboration with First Encounter Assault, who did a phenomenal job creating a custom theme and a custom chase music just for this concept alone, and it's phenomenal. I highly recommend you check it out. The full version is on their YouTube channel right now. Please go subscribe and follow them for more music. Check out their other past themes. All incredible and amazing work. And then the Predator assets from Rebellion Developments, Dead by Daylight, of course. This lobby is pretty cool. This was there was a fun fact about this is that this lobby came together fairly quickly, mostly because for the last one was Resident Evil, and there was a lot of flashing lights. And Rare Things had told me that this menu was incredibly well optimized because of the fact there was so few moving parts and bits involved, which was kind of nice. So we didn't have to spend too much time on this, or hoping that this would we could find a way to optimize this in some way. Here we have the Predator. And I know there's some people who said he should have been called the Hunter or something like that, and I think it fits way better just to give him straight up the name, both for licensing and like you'd have more people complaining that it's not called the Predator than people saying it's not called something else. And so this theme just kind of kicks in. It's really nice. So part of the design was that a lot of the ideas are, oh, well, it's just a better Wraith, which in some ways you could say it's a better Wraith, but it really isn't. It's meant to be played in a different style to Wraith, where Wraith has to actively use its cloaking to get around. Predator use cloaking to open up opportunities and use the other half of its power. So the Predator here is a fierce killer with a unique origin coming from the culture it represents and how it hunts. A fair but difficult hunt is all it desires, and it finds those that they deem worthy a challenge, ready to ready its deadly arm blade with the freedom of approach allowed by the use of its camouflage technology. It has 3 unique personal perks: Display of Slaughter, Hex Cowardice, and Hunter's Ultimatum. They all enforce a fearsome opponent, uniquely using its presence and domination over its own hunting grounds. So these perks are some of my favorite designs, just thematically, personally. But first of all, let's talk about the power. Power is Challenger. So the idea was I wanted something that when you have something like the Predator, there's such a large arsenal that you have to use or consider using, and then you have to whittle it down because you can't use everything. And that's just the sad truth of it. You can't use everything, and it sucks. However, we went back. I went back and I looked at what are some of the main themes that you could see throughout. And after watching the original Predator film again, I realized the fight between Dutch and Predator was an incredible inspiration where they both were challenging each other. Dutch actually challenged the Predator in the jungle by roaring into it, and the Predator heard and came to accept the challenge. So that's the whole idea. It's just a challenger. It's challenging you to survive against it and prove that you are a worthy prey or strong enough to survive. So the special ability is you press the power button to challenge a survivor within 18 meters of your line of sight. You have to see them. So you basically point them out, you roar at them, they become challenged by you. Survivors challenged by you that remain outside of your terror radius for 3 seconds or longer have their auras revealed to you. So this is sort of a callback to the old mechanic of Old Freddy, where when a sleeping survivor was outside your terror radius, their auras would be revealed to you constantly. This is a similar effect. I want something that would be like, okay, well, if you're not chasing them, then there has to be an effect added onto it. So you can kind of like, while you're chasing one survivor, you can turn, see another guy, challenge them while it's off cooldown, and then continue your normal chase. so you have an idea of where that person is. While they're challenged, or while a survivor is challenged by you that are within your terror radius, they suffer from the incapacitated status effect. So the incapacitated status effect was introduced with the twins, and what it does is survivors cannot perform repair, cleansing, or sabotage actions, or interact with other survivors, leave through the exit gates, enter lockers, or use items. So effectively, what this serves in this instance is your only objective right now is survive. And so while you're within the terror radius, that's the pressure of the predator on you right there. Challenge duration has 20 seconds at base and 15-second cooldown, so you could reapply it while it's still active. There are some issues in terms of balancing there, like you could hold someone hostage at a gate and keep challenging them. But for the purposes of what it's intended to do, I feel like this fits fairly well. The fact that it doesn't do anything else other than incapacitate an aura outside of your terror radius is kind of a bummer, admittedly. However, if you're able to sort of use it with the other special ability, then you can maximize on the aura potential and try to find people. So the special ability Camouflage, you press the active ability button to activate Camouflage and press again to deactivate it. Activating and deactivating Camouflage takes 4 seconds. So you don't slow down while you're using it, or at least you don't slow down very much. It's a 4-second straight channel to turn it on and off. Much longer than Wraith. There's no benefit to uncloaking, or there's no speed boost, anything like that. So it's a different type of camouflage to use. So when you're camouflaged, you're undetectable, similar to Wraith. So that means after challenging someone, you can use camouflage to reroute and find a new path to them as they're going around a building or something, and you see their aura the entire time because you're undetectable and they're outside your terror radius, and you can use that to your advantage. And this is sort of a similar effect to ambush, where you're able to perform a basic attack while in camouflage, but you can't lunge. So you can get a quick swipe in, and then it deactivates your camouflage. While camouflage is active, you can perform basic attacks, but you cannot perform a lunge. Challenging a survivor, performing an attack, or being stunned will deactivate camouflage. So similar to Wraith, anything that would normally deactivate your invisibility does deactivate it. I didn't put flashlights because I think the flashlight thing is pretty dumb. However, this is like, you can use challenge while you're camouflaged. You can kind of just ambush them. It's all about the creativity and your approach to the hunt itself. There's not an incredibly high skill cap with this character because of what you aren't able to do with it. However, it really encourages you to think outside the box or find a new way to approach a threat. I feel like this would be a killer meant for the indoors, surprisingly, compared to the outdoor maps. But it's a power that I feel like stands out enough from Wraith when you really consider the possibilities that this opens up. Alright, the first perk is Display of Slaughter. You are no simple butcher, there is a method and strategy to your bloodshed. Hooking a survivor will activate Display of Slaughter for 4, 7, and then 10 seconds. While Display of Slaughter is active, the repair progress of generators is determined by the intensity of their auras, and those generators have a 10% repair speed penalty. And this was an idea of taking that generator aura ability on add-ons such as Iridescent Button or All-Seeing Stamp, I think, from Wraith, and putting it on a perk where it's like, this could be a useful effect in any killer's hands, but how do I make it worth it? So what it does is, okay, you progress the game, you've hooked a survivor, you get a small bonus of seeing which generators are being worked on or how far along they are. So there's some synergy with Pop there, on top of the fact that it also briefly stunts the repair speed of those generators for a short time while they're revealed. So it buys you a little bit of time and gives you enough information. I like it. I think it's fine. Hex Cowardice. Survivors become victims to their own cowardice, allowing all to witness their once almighty confidence shatter from your very presence. Injuring a survivor with your basic attack for the first time in the trial curses that survivor. If you're not aware, whenever you become afflicted by a hex totem, such as Undying, Aura Reading, or you let go of a generator and Ruin pops up, you become cursed. That's what that status effect on the side is. It's curse. So this just applies the hex to you, rather than you get revealed by some effect from the hex itself. Survivors cursed by hex cowardice have their altruism speeds suffer from a 8, 10, and then 12% penalty. The penalty is doubled while those survivors are within your tear radius. So this is leaning more into the fact that while you can feel the presence of the predator itself on you, you are more cowardly. You are less effective at what you're doing or to rescue somebody else, say. And I think it's a neat design. I like the idea of hex perks working in strange ways. So I like this a lot. And it also persists while the hex totem is still standing, etc. And the flavor text, now everyone knows what you are. This is not a reference to any Predator content. It's actually a reference to, I'm a huge Magic the Gathering fan. It's a reference to one of my favorite Magic the Gathering cards called Boldweir Intimidator. What Boldweir Intimidator does is it's a giant warrior card. It makes other creatures warriors of your choice, any of them. And it says cowards cannot block warriors. Cowards is a type of creature card in the game that I don't believe has ever been printed on a card, but it's a creature type nonetheless. So anything that's coward can't block warriors. And it has an ability where until end of turn, it can turn another creature into a coward. So you can basically call out your opponent's board, call each of their creatures a coward if you have the resources to do so, and swing in with your warriors. And the flavor text is so good because it's just dripping with flavor. Cowards can't block warriors. And the flavor text is just, now everyone knows what you are. And it's so incredibly just badass to me that I was like, I have to reference it somehow here because it's just too good. Hunter's Ultimatum is another unique perk that went through a couple changes for the sake of health and balance. And while me and Rare Things are pretty upset to have to change it from what it originally was, which I'll get to in a bit, I think in the end it's still a unique effect. It's an obsession perk. You become obsessed with the survivor. Once the endgame collapse begins, the exit gates are blocked by the entity only for the obsession, as long as at least one other survivor remains in the trial. So the obsession has to stay. It can't leave through the exit gates itself. Can leave through hatch because whatever. As long as someone else is still in the game. And then if your obsession is sacrificed, killed, sacrificed, or has escaped before the endgame collapse begins, the endgame collapse duration is reduced by 30, 45, and then 60%. So even if the obsession dies, you're putting an immense pressure on the endgame itself to the survivors. They have significantly less time to work with. This works really well with Rancor for obvious reasons. Another thing that it works really well with is various endgame perks, stuff that keeps people in, like Blood Warden, that type of deal. This is sort of a perk version of the challenge mechanic or the incapacitated mechanic. What was originally the design is that as long as your obsession was still alive, for the first part of it, instead of only the obsession being blocked in, it was everyone else who was blocked in. And then I realized, as cool as that is, and how much it matches with the flavor text, it doesn't work because one person could effectively hold the entire team hostage, and it's much better for one person to be held hostage rather than an entire team. As bad as that sounds, it's a cool, super cool effect. I really would like to see something like this. I love seeing end-game blocking effects or stuff like that, things for the killer to do at the end of the game that applies more pressure and makes the survivors have to act differently or consider new possibilities. It's an incredibly interesting design space that I feel like Behavior should tap into more. But yeah, incredibly cool. And then 150, 15% movement speed killer, hell yeah, and 28 meter tear radius. Smaller tear radius to help. It originally was 32. Then I was like, that's a little too big for the whole tear radius mechanic that it has in its power, so I reduced it to try to help it out. Considered 24 and 26, and then I was like, that might be pushing it a little bit. I felt like 28 is the ideal size. This was such a cool idea. I loved the idea of doing add-ons, and I'm glad I got to do it here. So here's your shitty common add-on, because if I can creatively put it in, then I will try to put a shitty brown add-on in my designs. So it's a common challenger add-on. It's damaged Biomass, which is pretty common in most of the Predator movies. Every mask gets broken or falls off or something. All it does is that the camouflage shows the glowing eyes of your biohelmet regardless of distance. So normally it's sort of a wraith shimmer. When they're at a certain distance, when you're within a certain distance of a survivor, they can see the helmet's eyes and the shimmer of the invisibility. But this is just regardless of distance, as if it's sort of bugging out. But you get additional blood points for landing surprise attacks, so that's nice. Here's one thing that so the references I was pulling from for the Predator concept was pretty much everything other than Alien vs Predator 2 and The Predator directed by Shane Black, because I do not like that movie, and I'm sure a lot of people can be on the same boat as me with that, but that's just how I feel about it. I don't think it's a very good movie. I think it's pretty I think it kind of steps on the legacy of the Predator series as a whole and doesn't make it feel any. It makes it feel like diluted into like as if it was like a knockoff film, more or less. But what was really interesting about the Predators that's implied in 2, as goofy as that movie can be at times, is that Predators have been on planet Earth for a long time. They've been coming here for a long time. If you don't know the scene I'm talking about, there's a scene where Donald Glover's character kills a Predator, and when other Predators on this ship that he's on arrive, he's ready to try to fight them, and instead they take the body of the Predator and leave, and one of them, called Greyback, gives him a pistol and says, "Take this," and it's a flintlock pistol from the 1700s that has the name Captain Raphael Adelini. And so that just implies already that the Predators have been here for a long time, at least this one. And through various canons and depictions, especially with the Predator Hunting Grounds games, a game that came out a while back, there's hints at Viking Predators, there's hints at Ottoman, like all the like samurai, all this sort. So you can see that throughout the add-ons. So the axe head is from the Viking Age, where I believe the lore for the Hunting Grounds is that Valkyrie Predators, it was an honor to die by them. Ancient Trophy is an ancient African dagger, and it was taken from African Warrior. Bloody Dog Tags from Jim Hopper. Pile of Remains is supposed to be Hawkins' remains in the first Predator film. There's the Ottoman Dagger, which I think is one of my favorite add-ons I've done, just up close. It looks pretty simple from here, but like in a closer shot of the artwork, I think it's just came out really nicely. You have a Spear Trophy, which is from the Spartans. Then you have Mud Coating, which is what a Dutch uses to hide from the Predator. Plasma Caster, Guatemala Reports, Curved Trophy, which Curved Trophy is a Khopesh from ancient Egypt, which is another trophy that you can find in Predator Hunting Grounds. And then here we have a Snap Trophy, I believe. Yep, Snap Trophy, which is a katana. You have a Wrist Gauntlet, Smart Disc. Pyramid Petroglyph is something that you see on the wall of the first Alien vs. Predator movie in the pyramid beneath the whaling station of Antarctica. Incredibly cool shot. I love the image of it, so I had to put it as an add-on, and I did. And it has a depiction. I tried to recreate it as best I could. I couldn't find very clear images of it other than the one in the film. And it's an obsession one, so you have you're obsessed with this one specific prey. That's the idea of it. And when you challenge a survivor, you and the survivor see each other's auras for 8 seconds. Okay, wait, actually no, sorry. Whenever you challenge a survivor, you and the obsession see each other's auras first. So no matter who you challenge, you see the obsession's aura and they see yours. This can be counteracted by being invisible. So this can be an incredibly powerful add-on if you play your cards right. Adelini's Flintlock. So this is the only one you'll notice that only trophy, quote, the only supposed trophy that isn't a trophy. It's Adelini's Flintlock, because the story of Captain Raphael Adelini is, I believe, his men stole, it's been a little bit, but his men stole money from a church in the Caribbean, and he realized it was from the church, and he said, "We're taking it back, otherwise I'm not your captain." and they caused a mutiny, and they try to fight him. The Predator was already scoping it out, like he was going to fight Adelini, and then realized, oh shit, I gotta go protect this guy so I can have a cool fight with this guy. So he does that. There's some super sick panels you can find of this comic online if you just look up Adelini Predator. Okay, Adelini Predator comic. Make sure you put the comic. While I was researching this, my Google history was not exactly the funnest thing to have to try to explain. But Adelini's Flintlock, what happens is, as they finally kill off the entire crew, Adelini looks to Predator, and there's sort of an mutual understanding as they prepare for battle. And then right before they start, one of the men is still alive and shoots Adelini in the back, dealing a killing blow. And the Predator kills the surviving crewmate, sets Adelini down, and Adelini gives him his pistol and says, "Take this," which is what Greyback in Predator 2 mimicked. And so Greyback takes it and honorably buries Adelini there that day. And I believe he leaves his sword or his spear, I can't remember which one it was, at the gravesite. So it's sort of like an incredibly interesting moment for human and Predator to work together. And it's just a really cool thing. I was like, I have to add this. There's a Combi stick, which is super cool. The skull trophy is another trophy. That's very obvious what it's from. And it's a xenomorph skull. That's pretty much it. Iridescent wrist blade. There's an iridescent add-on. There you go. And I like my iridescent add-ons either being really strong or they actually just alter the power outright, which is something that's much more interesting than, oh, your stat buff is really good, but you have a really bad detriment. So for this one, hitting a survivor while camouflage challenges them. So automatically challenges. Hitting survivor challenged by you while you are camouflaged will not deactivate it. So you can kind of do this sort of complete stealth takeover if you challenge them, hit them, and then you're still stealth, so it doesn't deactivate immediately. So you have solid tracking on them. Survivors can still try to run away. It's probably broken, but you know, I'll leave that to behavior to fix in 5 years. Mark of the Blooded, another reference to Alien vs. Predator, where they use the xenomorph blood to... Scar uses it to mark his helmet and his forehead. And it's whenever downing survivor challenged by you, challenges all those survivors outside your terror radius. It's an auto-apply challenge. Like I feel like getting free challenges off is an incredibly powerful effect on this killer. And because it gives you both information and pressure, in a sense of pressure for survivors around you. So this one just basically reveals the auras of all of them and then gives them the challenge duration. It does reduce it, but you can amplify it with other add-ons. Yeah, I had fun designing these. I had fun making them. It was a great time. Yeah. Originally, we were going to do this on Crotus Pen Asylum, but unfortunately, as Rare Things was trying to render and load all these buildings in, it came across the issue of FPS drops. Like we were getting 10 FPS at best, and it just wasn't working out. So we had to swap for something else, and we didn't want to just use Macmillan again. So Rare Things went ahead and added all this snow to Snow Macmillan. So here's the camouflage. It takes a while, so you can't just cloak, uncloak, fake it like Wraith does. You have to commit to it. So you perform an attack. You come out of cloak. There you go. And then this was one thing. I have a piece of concept art somewhere of this where I just have a Predator pointing his finger towards a survivor. So there's the challenge marker. You can see it's a little faint. Yeah. And then you cloak again. There's no slowdown to it. Servers can obviously see you when you do it, so they know when you're about to cloak. And then you can challenge while you're cloaked. So you can do this. However, you could just attack them normally. It's just up to you. How do you want to do it? Sometimes there's benefits to doing one or the other. Again, it's all about how you approach the situation and creatively consider it. The reason why there's no cooldown on the camouflage or some power gauge involved is because I wanted something with a long, like, channel, like an ability channel. So that's why it takes 4 seconds to activate and then deactivate it flat across the board. There's, I think, 4 add-ons total that alter the speeds, 2 for each of activating and deactivating. And it was intentional that, like, the focus shouldn't be playing like Wraith. However, there are add-ons that let you play like Wraith in terms of faster uncloaking and cloaking. And then once again, I like to say that I love the names that Rare Things puts on the side all the time. My favorites are always the first, last name, and then year. It's just too real. So this animation here was sort of a... We like the idea of having transitions, similar to the Resident Evil chapter, where Mr. X opens the locker and finds Meg. And it's a nice way to cut to the title, or to the summary, I suppose. And it just works in general. That's what's nice about it. The way we were searching a little too late for a animator to help us out with some things. We wanted to animate a bit more. We wanted to have some more idle animations or different things, because like I don't know how to animate. Rare Things knows how to animate very simple things like the finger point or Mr. X fixing his hat, that type of thing, but it can't do complex animations such as Amori, which is why we haven't done it. And also implementing things like grabbing, picking survivors up, or grabbing them out of lockers, that sort of thing. It's a lot more effort than just copy pasting the animations, because you have to break it to the model specifically. There's some other instances you want to make sure it looks good in first person. It's just kind of annoying to deal with, and so I really wanted to get Amori out for this concept. I really did, but it was not in the cards at the time, which is very unfortunate. However, with this, we ended up getting incredibly. It just worked out. It was a very smooth process. It happened very quickly. We're incredibly lucky that we have someone like First Encounter Assault who volunteered to free of charge just to help us out, like make music and all that, and even improved on it after the first like video pass when they weren't satisfied with the chase music themselves, which is incredibly generous and of their time. Please go subscribe to them, follow them, all that sort of thing. And then here's our teaser for the next one. I know I felt like people might get a little jebaited by this image, like, oh, it's Jason, but it's not. It's not Terminator either. Pretty easy to figure out. So yeah, there's that. Thank you again for watching. Please consider supporting all of us that work on this. We do this all in our free time. It's very much a labor of love, and I will probably upload some more videos soon. Hopefully something I've considered making a video on how my design process works for these concepts, as well as how I make my icons, but we'll see. All right, take care.